you. My name is Safradi Salmon Mujage from Edukea Company. Welcome in history class to proceed with our fourth topic, which is the political and social and political development in Africa. So we are going to see on the centralized kingdoms or empires. As on the last session, we ended on the decentralized society. So now we are going to see the centralized kingdoms or empires. Some African societies were large empires governed by kings who had near absolute power. For example, North Africa and Egypt, Nubia, Axum as the examples of centralized kingdoms, while Ghana, Mali, Songhai, and Kanem Bon was the centralized states in West Africa. Buganda, Karagwe, Ankole, and Telo in East Africa. So these were examples of centralized states or centralized kingdom. After looking at the examples, let us see the characteristics of centralized political system. The first characteristics was presence of a king or queen. It means that in the centralized states was governed by the king or queen as the leader or the top authority of the society or kingdom. So every centralized state had its queen or king to govern that society or community. But another, the clan had to pay tribute to the monarch. It means that the clan had to pay the tribute to the monarch or to the king. Also in centralized state or centralized political system, availability of enough food to feed the settled population. It means that in centralized states there were enough food or availability of enough food in order to save or to feed the settled population in the kingdom. So there was the production of enough or sufficient food that could be able to feed the population present in the kingdom, and that's why many kingdoms that were mainly as centralized, they were put or they were involved themselves in the production of food crops. For example, in Buganda, they were produced the banana crop, and that was made the abundant or availability of enough food. But another, the centralized authority was responsible for solving social disputes. It means that centralized authority was responsible for solving social disputes. Example, the ancient Egypt. Let us see the origins of centralized political system. According to archaeological evidence, the Egyptian state arose between 1500 up to 500 before Christ. The evidence also shows that by this time there were already villages of self-sufficient producers who grew wheat, barley, and kept animals. So you can say that the evidence that shows us that there was centralized states in Africa, it's because there were societies which kept themselves in producing the different food crops like wheat, barley, and they were keeping animals. These producers formed the permanent settlement as they increased in population. It means that as they were produced different crops and animals or animal keeping, they decided to establish settlement or permanent settlement that as the population was increased. So as the population was increased in centralized states, they established the settlement or permanent settlement that made them to form the centralized state or centralized political system that could be governed by the king or queen. Let us see the factors that gave the rise to the centralized state and the factors for the rise of centralized states. Factors for the rise of centralized states. Reasons for the rise of Egyptian state. The first one was the development of agriculture and pastoralism. It means that we are going to see the reasons for the rise of Egyptian state or kingdom. The first one was the development of agriculture and pastoralism. It means that in Egypt there was the development of crop production and the animal keeping. So in that way, the abundant availability of food that could feed the population was there, and that made Egypt to form the state or the centralized state. But another reason for the rise of the Egyptian state was specialization of labor. It means that there was the specialization of production of different products in Egypt, and that led to the formation of a state in Egypt or Egypt kingdom. For example, there are people who were producing iron tools. There are people who kept themselves in animal keeping. There are people who were participating or involved themselves in crops cultivation. So that was the specialization of labor, whereby a special group or a certain group is performing a certain work. Another was the rise of names who united the upper and the lower Egypt. It means that the rise of names are the people who are the one who united the upper and the lowest Egypt or the lower Egypt to form the centralized state. But another reason for the rise of Egyptian state was development of local industries. It means that in Egypt there was development of local industries, and those local industries were involving in the production of different equipments or tools. For example, the iron tools were produced in Egypt that gave the room for the development of agriculture and the animal keeping, as the tools were used in agricultural production, and that led to the presence of enough food to feed the population, and that led to the formation of Egyptian state. Another was taxation. It means that the presence or the existence, the kings or queen of that kingdom or state were responsible to collect taxes, or their assistants were there to collect tax, which were used in expanding the territory and building different pyramids in Egypt, and that gave the rise of the Egyptian state. But also strong army. It means that Egypt had the strong army under Pharaoh regime, whereby the people in Egypt were developed the strong army or outstanding army that could defend the whole society or the whole kingdom against the external invasion, and to conquer the neighboring states in order to increase and expand the territory of the Egyptian kingdom. But also, the last one was development of productive forces. It means that there was development of productive forces in Egypt. This is because there was the advancement of tools, whereby the productive forces or productive tools were produced, like iron tools that were supported in agricultural production. So these were the factors that gave the rise of Egyptian states. Another was Ethiopia. Ethiopia started as a small kingdom known as Axum and was founded near the Red Sea coast by a dynasty of Sabaean from the other side of the Red Sea. It means that Ethiopia started as a small kingdom known as Axum. As you know, Axum was the place or area whereby iron smelting was taking place and was founded near the Red Sea coast by a dynasty of Sabaean from the other side of the Red Sea. The Ethiopia state arose around 1000 before Christ, or before the birth of Christ. Factors for the growth of the Ethiopian states. What were the factors that gave the rise of Ethiopian states? The first one was strong leadership. It means that in Ethiopia there was strong leadership which managed to unite the people around the Ethiopian to form the strong state or kingdom that could be controlled under the centralized authority. Another was agriculture. It means that the people of Ethiopia were practicing agricultural production whereby the crop cultivation was taking place. Also the animal keeping was taking place, and that was all the result of making the iron tools which were supported in the production of crops, and that crops ensured the presence or availability of sufficient food for feeding the available population in the kingdom. That's why led to the growth of Ethiopian kingdom or state. Another was unity among the people. It means that the people of Ethiopia were uniting to form the strong state under their leadership. It means that their leader were responsible for uniting the people around Ethiopia in order to make the strong kingdom or state. And another was growth of local industries. It means that in Ethiopia there was the growth of local industries. For example, the iron making industries or iron smelting industries, whereby there were local industries whereby the people of Axum were making the iron tools, and those iron tools were responsible to be used in agricultural production and the other activities which were needed iron tools. Another was a strong army. It means that Ethiopia had the strong army and outstanding army that was there responsible for defense and security of the society or the kingdom, also to conquer the neighboring weaker states in order to increase and expand the territory of the Ethiopia, and that led to the growth of Ethiopian state. Also, there was taxation. It means that any centralized kingdom was introduced the taxes or introduced the taxation in its area, so that the majority or the subjects of that kingdom will pay in order to ensure there is development of different projects in the kingdom. And the last one was the Christianity. It means that the Christianity was another factor for the rise or for the growth of Ethiopian state. Let us see the classes in Ethiopia. There was class of feudalots, peasants or tenants and serfs, as well as slaves. It means that in Ethiopia there were three classes, which were feudal lords were at the bottom of the kings or the leader of the kingdom. Also, there were peasants that included tenants and serfs. Also, the last class was the slaves who were working for the feudal lords in the smaller piece of land. That was the Ethiopian state. So now we are going to see the kingdom of Nubia. Nubia lay in the area that cut across the borders of modern Sudan, Egypt, and Ethiopia. It means that Nubia lay in the area that cut across the borders of modern Sudan, Egypt, and Ethiopia. The Nubian state arose around 200 BC. It was called Kush and its capital was in Napata. It means that by that time was known as Kush, and the capital city or capital state was Napata. In 3rd century, the capital shifted to Meroe. It means that the capital city of Nubia Empire or Kingdom was shifted from Napata to Meroe, and that Meroe was a place where iron smelting were taking place. Let us see the factors for the rise or growth of the Nubian state. The first one was agricultural activities. It means that in Nubian state there was the participation or involvement in agricultural production that was led to the availability of sufficient food to feed the population of Nubia Kingdom. And the people of that area were emphasized by their leader in order to produce high food crops in order to make the surplus for the population, which tended to increase time to time, and that led to the growth of Nubian state as the agricultural products were feeding the population, and the population was keeping in increasing time to time, and that the growth of the state. But also there was trade. It means that in the Nubian state there was trading activities that conducted between the people of Nubia and the neighboring areas like Egypt, Sudan, and Ethiopia. But also trading activities or trading items that was made in Nubia was the iron tools as well as agricultural products. So were exchanged by other items from the neighboring societies, and that gave the rise or the growth of the Nubian state. But also other factor that led to the rise of the Nubian state was availability of valuable goods, for example gold and ivory. It means that there was availability of valuable goods in Nubia like gold and ivory that were used in trading activities, and after the coming of the foreigners, they used that valuable goods to exchange with the manufactured goods that were brought from external world, and that gave the rise of the Nubian state. And the last one was development of local industries. It means that Nubian state are developed in local industries. And which local industries? The industries that were involved in iron smelting. It means that there was the manufacturing or production of iron tools that were used in agricultural activities. So these were the factors that led to the rise of the Nubian state. Let us see the factors for the decline of Nubia or Nubian state. The first factor was feudal lords were against the peasants. It means that the feudal lords were against the peasants, and the peasants were against the feudal lords because there was exploitation between peasants and their feudal lords, whereby the feudal lords were exploiting the peasants. But another factor for the decline, the attacks by Muslims. It means that the Nubian state was attacked by Muslims. That led Nubian state to collapse as the external domination was invaded that area. Another or the last factor was disunity among the people of Nubia. It means that as the feudal lords and peasants became into conflicts, so there were no longer unity among that or among those people. So disunity acted as a mark in the collapse of the Nubia state or Nubian states. After looking those states or Nubian states, Ethiopia states, Egypt states, let us see the Western Sudanic states. The Western Sudanic state. The early state in Western Sudan was established in the region between the Saharan Desert and the forest region of South. The most important states are Ghana, Mali, Songhai, and Kanem Borno. It means that the most important states or the most important Sudanic states, Western Sudanic states, were Ghana, Mali, Songhai, and Kanem Borno. Ghana, Mali, Songhai, and Kanem Borno. If you will be asked what are the Western Sudanic states, the most important or the most states are Ghana, Mali, and Songhai. These are the most known West Sudanic states. Let us see the general factors for the rise of Western Sudanic states. The factors for the rise of the Western Sudanic states. The first one was geographical location of the state. It means that those Western Sudanic states were located on the good areas that had the different natural resources that enabled them to develop their kingdom or their authority. Also, there was iron technology. It means that those states or Western Sudanic states had the iron technology whereby there was production or there was the made and use of iron tools in production, as well as the use of iron tools as weapons. But also there was the growth of population. It means that the population of Western Sudanic states were growing because of the iron tools which were used in agricultural production, and that led to the availability of enough food to feed the population. Also, the development of local industries. It means that in those states there was the development of local industries that was involved in the production of different items like iron tools. Also, there was taxation. Taxation was used as a revenue in the kingdom, and that gave the rise of the states or Western Sudanic states. Also, trans-Saharan trade. It means that the trans-Saharan trade that was conducted across the Saharan Desert gave the rise for the Western Sudanic state because they were fully participated during that trade, and that's why the people who participated or the leader or the middlemen of that trade were accumulated a lot of wealth, and that wealth was used to form the Western Sudanic states. Another was availability of valuable goods like gold. Also, there was good centralized government. It means that those states had the good centralized government or the strong leadership. But also the capable leaders were there. So there was strong leaders in those Western Sudanic states like Sundiata Keita, Mansa Kankani Musa of Mari, and Askia Mohammed of Songhai. Also, there was a strong army. It means that those Western Sudanic states had the strong army, which were used to defend the society and to conquer the neighboring states in order to expand the territories of the kingdom or the state and to make the population be larger, as the kingdom or state was supposedly to have the high population. And those were the factors or general factors that gave the rise of the Western Sudanic states. So then after, we are going to see one Sudanic state after another, by starting with Ghana Empire. Ghana Empire, during its rise, Ghana had two main towns, one occupied by Muslims and the other by pagans. It means that during the rise of Ghana Empire was characterized or comprised by two main towns. The one town was occupied by Muslims and the other by pagans, the people who have no religion. Also, the rulers and the people were Soninke speaking group. It means that the Ghana Empire are the people who were speaking Soninke language. So the area, the rulers and the people were Soninke speaking people. The word Ghana had the king titled Imedi in the 5th AD. It means that the word Ghana had the king title Imedi in the 5th century, 5th AD. 5th century Anno Domino, or after the birth of Christ. The capital center or capital seat of administration was Kombisale or Kombisale. That was the capital seat or capital center of Ghana Empire. I would like to introduce you the factors that gave the rise of Ghanaian Empire or Ghana Empire. The first factor for the rise of Ghana Empire was agricultural activities, availability of valuable goods like gold. That's why until during the colonial rule, Ghana was called the Gold Coast, because it was blessed with a plenty collection of gold. Also, Trans-Saharan trade in gold and salt. Other was good leadership and the efficient system of government under their leadership. But also there was common language, as they used the Soninke language in speaking, so it was easy to unite the people of Ghana and form the kingdom. Let us see the factors for the collapse of Ghana Empire. The factor number one was Almoravid's constant attacks. Almoravid's constant attacks. It means invasion from Almoravids. And the another was disunity among the people. It means as time went on, the people were disunited. Also, jihadi wars or Islamic war or holy war that was happened in Western Africa or West Africa. Also, lack of stable system of loyal succession. It means that there were kings or the leader who succeeded the rule, but were not capable to manage and to rule the state or the empire. And the last one was the rise of rural kingdoms, e.g. Mali. It means that the rise of rural kingdoms, for example, Mali, kingdom and the rise of that ruler. So after looking the factors for the decline of Ghana Empire, I would like to wind up there and to leave the questions which were supposed to do, dear students of Form 1. And our questions are only 3. And the first question states that list down 3 Western Sudanic states. The second one is mention 2 states emerged in East Africa. And the last one, give 4 factors for the rise of Ghana Empire. So until there, I would like to wind up the session. I welcome you in the next class. Thank you for watching.